I'm VP for EMEA for a company called Lmntrix. We provide managed detection and response across the entire attack surface, so XDR, as we're going to talk about later. But yeah, the key thing there is proactive threat detection and containment. And we're going to talk about that with relevance to, oh sorry, I should be moving on, with relevance to AI and cost constraints and how it can really help that. I've been in this space for about 5 years and seen how you can really supercharge your existing tech stack by taking a managed service on to actually, like I say, proactively analyze and contain threats as they happen. Just click through there. That's the platform which we're demonstrating outside. So it's a great interface, but in reality, a lot of our customers just look at the kind of weekly or monthly reports. But I'm going to start off with a CISO mind map. Look, the key thing here is, yeah, we're talking about threat detection and response today, but there's a huge amount of things that you guys are all looking at, from team management to compliance, legal, regulation, huge amount of stuff. So if you can be as efficient as possible in some of the key areas, that's the real benefit. In terms of key focus areas that we're seeing, AI, obviously front of mind for everyone, and then probably in every one of the talks today. Then, I'm struggling to read those notes a little bit. Oh, that's better. Consolidation and rationalization of security tools, cyber resilience, overall, beyond incident response, and building a brand for the security team. But look, there's just a lot of things on the CISO's agenda. Did I flick through there? So look, I'm going to go through a bit of research because I think you've got to look at the market for insight to frame, are you relevant? Are you creating true value for customers? These slides will be available later if anybody wants them, so come to our stand and ask and we can distribute them. But look, this is common stuff, so I think a lot of this would be known and agreed, hopefully, by all. The Verizon Data Breach Report is talking about 68% of breaches have a human element within them. 32 have a ransomware element, and 28% include errors, which is largely cloud misconfiguration. So 15% as well is third-party suppliers and contractors and stuff. So there's some ongoing key things that are creating breaches. New stuff, this has come from the World Economic Forum research, which is just out in January, about the difference of opinions in cyber resilience in firms. And basically, it's saying that small firms are really struggling to ensure cyber resilience, up from 5% to 35% of them saying that they can't. And of leaders asked about it, they're saying 71% of them think that small businesses have an issue with cyber resilience. So real issues. Actually, the large firms, enterprises, is getting better from 13% to 7%. This is backed up by actual breaches that are happening. 48% of small and medium businesses said they had a breach in the last 12 months. And of the ones that said they hadn't, 8% thought they wouldn't detect it, and 9% said they're unsure. So, you know, a huge amount of businesses being breached. The extent of those breaches and what it actually means is something worth delving into. But overall, definitely seeing a lot of activity in those small to medium businesses that they're not really ready for. And AI is something that everybody's looking to be a solution as well as part of the problem. So 98% of people say that AI is really important, critically important in choosing a cybersecurity platform. And so, you know, it really is being looked at for different reasons as being something that's going to be really add value in terms of cyber resilience. Key benefits, it actually changes from smaller firms to larger firms. In the smaller firms, it's more about preventing staff burnout, improving ROI. In the larger firms, it's more just about improving the actual efficiency and protection that they already have. Dwell times, look, we're still talking in days. This is the Google research, basically saying 10 days is the mean time globally, which is 5 days for ransomware, 13 days for other threats. But EMEA is actually a lot worse. That might be because it's a US study, but again, I haven't delved into the specifics there of it, exactly why, but EMEA's down at 22 days for overall, with 8 days for ransomware, 31 days overall. But look, I've seen other reports that say 85 days is the mean time for malware and stuff. We're definitely still talking in days in terms of successful attacks. It sits there, it's not being seen, and these are the attacks that are doing the damage. And these are, according to one of the consultants, some of the biggest, most impactful events that have happened in the UK, but we're seeing this around the globe, lots of different attacks, millions of personal details being exposed. Like I say, all industries, all businesses being hit. This is some more recent press headlines from their angle. Barclays was this weekend. Everybody is getting hit, the NHS, even the big tech guys, none of them are immune. Microsoft last year, LinkedIn, Twitter, Uber all had major breaches. So, you know, what we see when you look into this, these firms, they all have the full tech stack. You know, they're using vendors like Microsoft, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto. You know, they don't, it's not because they haven't got the right tools in place. They also have the compliance. You know, they've got NIST, ISO 27001, so they're still getting hit. They've got detection and response, most of them as well, and they're failing in that. And it's largely you know, historically it's been a SIEM-based detection and response, which isn't seeing new things coming through. The other thing we see is the costs to get out of one of these major attacks for these big companies is really significant. I think the MGM one last year, where the casinos went down, and as well as the hotels, $100 million US dollars is quoted as the figure for the cost of it, and it's actually, you know, thought it might even increase from that. So significant costs, even though, like I say, they've got world-class security in place. And the other thing that we see is that massive budgets become available after they've been breached, but they weren't available pre-breach, or weren't utilised pre-breach. Now, research aside, I think we're all agreed that there's some real challenges there. This is talking about the sliding scale of cybersecurity. And basically what we're seeing is at the architecture level, people are spending, they're buying a lot of tools. Actually, how they manage those tools is quite difficult, and are they actually optimizing them? And then passive defense is pretty good in terms of like just having new tools to block more stuff. But when you get into these areas like active defense, proactively going after, looking for threats, new threats as well as known threats, intelligence, how many intelligence feeds can you take in and where from, and then being really offensive in terms of what your risks are and attacking them is you know, where we see less and less people. And interested where you think you are on that sliding scale, and I was going to do a bit of a hands up thing, but let's leave it interactive. But you know, if you think about it yourself in terms of where are you and how do you move up that scale in the most efficient way. Now, this is the detail around MDR as it exists. And so an XDR platform is really where everybody is moving to. So effectively, managed detection and response on one area can provide extra focus and extra performance, but it's when you actually triage the information and work across as much as your attack surface is relevant for your business's risk appetite and where the critical assets and critical data is. So starting on the left here, the key thing is to take signals from as many areas as possible. So the network, the endpoint, cloud, logs and SIEM, they add flavor to attacks, known attacks after the apps, identity, OT in some place if you're in manufacturing or utilities, mobile, email as well is a critical one. But also the key thing is low-level, high-fidelity signals, telemetry and metadata. So logs are a component, but they shouldn't be the driving force behind your detection and response, because they will catch known stuff, but they won't catch things like insider threat, stolen credentials, whereas a good XDR platform will do that. That's all fed into the XDR platform, where also coming in is hundreds generally of threat feeds from governments, industry feeds, APIs into vendors for known threats. So that, you know, once something is blocked with one customer, and seen as a new credential, it will be blocked across the entire customer base, and also from vendor to vendor. And if you're working with a vendor-agnostic XDR platform in the open intelligence space, that's the benefit. And so what you get is millions of alerts coming in, and it means millions or thousands of alerts, actually automated disruptions. So known stuff should be stopped in seconds. But then other stuff that looks abnormal will be thrown in, played against playbooks, triaged across all of the attack surfaces, and then basically AI and ML applied to it to add context before it moves into the portal and potentially a human-led investigation. So the SOC over there, where you've got qualified security professionals with agreed escalation paths, and generally they can be flexible escalation paths with customers and with partners, and then basically reporting is a critical thing, because like I say, a lot of businesses will buy the service and look at the reports rather than delving in the details. However, again, the good platforms should give total visibility, and most of them do, because it has to be auditable. You know, what playbook, why did you see something, why did you stop it? But the key thing being is, if an XDR provider is selling as a service, generally they will be proactive with the containment. And it used to be about 5 years ago that people would build in escalation paths. For example, if it's a board level endpoint, we need to be informed before you contain it. But then it turns around, you know, the board members are the people that are busy, so they click on the wrong thing, and also they've got the critical data. So, you know, the mindset has shifted. It's breach first mentality, not if you'll be breached. You will be breached, but how fast can you contain it? How can you stop it becoming a business impacting event? And the key thing here is, this is detecting in seconds and containing in minutes. Worst case hours if it's like a 0-day or a really complex ransomware attack that comes back. Very rarely that these XDR platforms in this way will take days to fix things. And that's really the speed and benefit that you're getting from using AI and automation to a massive degree in amongst the platforms. We talk about it as a hyper-converged platform, and that's, like I say, as many areas of the attack surface you can get. Effectively, the service can sit above existing technology. It's not necessarily a rip and replace it or alongside it. And it's about getting the most out of existing tools. We see quite often disparate tools, EDR and NDR, running alongside each other, but not actually correlating and triaging the information. And that's what XDR is really about. The benefits is time to detect and remediate, and also the cost. The fact that by having a certified team who are doing this across lots of customers, they're able to do it faster and easier and with less resource, so you're getting those economies of scales as such. You're seeing everybody's moving to this converged platform approach. So you've got, for example, CrowdStrike, where they bought EMEA a few years ago, and now it's branded as LogScale, and so that's logs, so EDR with logs on to take in the rest of the external things. Sophos just merged with SecureWorks, just went through the other day. SentinelOne with Singularity. You know, a lot of the big players have all got this strategy around going into XDR, so taking signals from everywhere and triaging it, because they realise that people can't just manage the tools on their own and just take the alerts. So visibility now wasn't working, whether it's through logs or through other tools, because people didn't have the time and the resource to actually activate on that visibility and make it successful in terms of containment. I don't know if I hit that one. So look, just what is managed detection and response? What's the definition? It's a managed service, and so you're buying 24/7. And I hear about people doing 18 hours or running 18 hours SOCs, or 24/7 with 2 people. I've heard of MSP doing that, and it's like, how do you really get 24/7? A proper managed detection and response service should be 24/7, and it's continuous improvement in terms of it should feed back improvements. So where things are getting through existing controls, and that's the critical thing. Like I say, known stuff gets stopped in seconds, but it's stuff that's actually getting through. So is it actually a breach, and it's being contained? And so you want to minimize that. So it will feed back, whether it's security awareness training or improvement in optimizing tools that exist or potentially new tools. It should develop resiliency overall via that continuous improvement. The holistic coverage is really important. Like I said, depends what your critical assets are, so you might not need all areas. Well, this one's on a timer, that's what's happening. I'm whizzing through because it's going through automatically. But we'll try and give some time back because I know we're running over, but yeah, I will flip back. So yeah, the extended part's really important. If you're in the cloud, so cloud and endpoint's probably the two key areas. If you're on-prem, network and endpoint, you get a huge amount of benefit from having those two and triaging rather than running them in parallel. But then, you know, if you're manufacturing areas like OT, depending on the use of mobile, that will be a critical thing. Email and identity might be an area that you want to start first if that's where you're seeing the biggest risk and the biggest number of breaches. Detection, like I said, it should happen in seconds. The platform does a lot of the heavy lifting here. We talk about 95% reduction in alerts. It's probably more like 99%. So, you know, the platform really should be doing all the heavy lifting in terms of detection. And then human-led investigation is, you know, a percentage. I think we do on average between 4 and 10 containments a month with our customers, which is things that need human-led investigations because they're not known enough for an automated containment. And then the response, that's critical as well in terms of how quick was it detected, how quick was it contained, how quick to remediate. And the thing is, if you contain quickly, and most XDR is very proactive in doing that containment, like I said, then it's easy to remediate out of. So for example, if you shut down an app within an endpoint rather than a whole endpoint, the user can still use the majority of their functionality. If you shut down one endpoint rather than 500 endpoints, it's obviously a lot easier to do. And so that proactive assume breach mentality and the fact that we're doing these containments week in, week out for all of our customers, it enables people to really be proactive and do the containment fast so that it's really easy to remediate out of. Oh, now I'm going backwards again. So, you know, just delving into those benefits a little bit more. The resource, you know, how many people do you need? How many people are running their own SOC here? Hands up. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I thought, probably about 10% or so. And how many people outsource the SOC capability? Yeah, okay, that's good. And look, there's a big take-up as well as the vendors pushing this way. I've been speaking to a lot of people today who are on this journey to an XDR, either internal or external service. And look, but the resource, there's a global shortage. It's really hard to get hold of. And when you get hold of, it's really hard to retain. And the cost is going up with it. And, you know, we've got some of the sort of roles that we have in we're a virtual SOC with a sort of SOC, we call it a cyber defense center. But, you know, there's very specific skill sets for the different people within the SOC as well. We talk generally about SOC analysts, but, you know, there's levels of escalation and there's very different roles in there. It's very specialized resource, and if you're in the global market, it's easier. And obviously, if you're doing a follow the sun model, it makes it more effective as well. Look, SIEM solution, we used to call ourselves the anti-SIEM company. I wouldn't go that far now because like, it is a very relevant asset to an XDR platform, getting SIEMs for a significant amount of places. But you've got to be aware that SIEM as your only source has some limitations. There was a great presentation recently at B-Sides London. The reference is there, and it's on my LinkedIn as well. But you know, it can be a very static service. This presentation shows very specific ways you can manipulate it from the, you know, source disruption, log parsing, and, you know, manipulating the aggregation there. Log rules, a lot of people are using rules that are published and available on the internet. And, you know, it's complex to create bespoke rules. So, you know, I would recommend that to anyone who's got a SOC, a log-based SOC, to look at that presentation. This is something that we presented last time we were up in Manchester, and it's great to be up, well-attended event again. But Ian, our CTO, went through this in terms of how you can improve your security posture by applying active defense. And so probably more relevant to people that are running their own SOC, but, you know, blocking the noise and the false positives, a good outer shell, things like firewalls, email security, web security, then getting proactive in detecting the threats, and then actually human-led attackers, and deceptions is something underused in that, in terms of actually getting human-led attacks, and then making sure that you've got all the information there for post-breach forensics, whether you're doing it in minutes or days or hours, whatever, making sure that you actually have everything you're going to need to do a proper IR investigation. And like I say, the last, which probably should be the first thing, is that assumed breach mentality. You are going to be breached. How quick can you contain it? This, like I say, is our platform. Like I say, we give full visibility. I think most XDR platforms do. And so there's, dashboards that show number of alerts, number of incidents. They map back to the MITRE framework. That's pretty typical. Like I say, a lot of customers who outsource won't really be looking at that. It will drill down into any incident. What happened, when was it, how was it identified, and what happened. That audit trail is required to make sure that any containment is actually auditable, if you like. And then, look, just circling back, Lmntrix, we've been in business 15 years. Our founder created a company called EarthMove, which he sold. It was an XDR platform as well, sold it to NTT Data. It was DI Data, but then got consolidated and ran their SOCs globally for 3 years until the golden handcuffs came off. And then he set up Lmntrix because he didn't think XDR had moved on and thought he could do it better the second time. And so, we're now getting recognised by Gartner. We're in the 2024 market guide. IDC, we're a leader in the emerging managed detection and response space. The MSSP alert, we're number 24 in that, and so, punching well above our weight in terms of that. But analysts' accreditation and AI, we're in a lot of their articles, Gartner around AI, is great, but really it's our customers. We've grown through referral. We're US headquartered, Australian owned, but we're in the UK now. London is the European headquarters, but we're also Singapore, Malaysia, the Middle East. We are growing, and a lot of our customers are global customers because it's a virtual platform that can be totally scalable from the cloud and set up in relatively short time, really, in terms of taking the signals and data. Telemetry, not data, is what the platforms work on. So, look, that's managed XDR. Like I say, I do believe it is something worth looking at, even in terms of best practice. Managed EDR, managed NDR is very worthwhile. We speak to a lot of customers who are suffering with too many alerts, trying to manage too many tools. I do think there's a great solution there. We've seen it with a lot of customers that when they implement it, it really does supercharge their confidence in terms of they know they're getting breached, but they're actually containing it before it becomes business impacting. And knowing that is really critical. And the ROI is good to prove because you can show specific incidents of what's happened. And so we love doing proof of concepts because generally within 30 days we see some stuff that won't have been caught via existing endpoint, existing network detection, and so on. So, this is stuff that might be lurking there for a long time, but with good XDR providers, they will see it and contain it in minutes before it gets into your environment and does damage. That's all. I know we're running over, so I don't know whether we're looking to do a Q&A or not. I've got some time if there are questions, but I don't know. I'm looking at the lights are in my eyes there. Any questions? No? Okay, well, in the interest of time, we'll wrap up, and thanks for your time. I know everyone's busy, and it's great that you've come today, and I appreciate you coming to this session. Thank you.